In the quiet of a dimly lit warehouse, a man named David wandered, his flashlight illuminating dusty crates and old machinery. He had heard rumors of strange happenings in this part of the city, stories of sightings that didn't quite fit with the usual explanations. Being the curious soul he was, David couldn't resist exploring. The air was thick with the smell of old wood and metal, and the silence felt oppressive. It was almost as if the warehouse had been abandoned for years, yet something told him he wasn't alone. As he walked deeper into the shadows, a sudden movement caught his eye. At the far corner of the room, lying motionless on the ground, was a figure. David froze, his breath catching in his throat. The figure was unlike anything he had seen before. She had pale, blue skin, and her body was slender but strong. She was wearing a strange, tight-fitting outfit made of some kind of material he didn't recognize, the fabric shimmering faintly under the light. For a moment, David thought she was dead, but then he noticed her chest rising and falling slowly with each breath. He took a cautious step forward, his heart pounding in his chest. "Are you all right?" he asked softly, kneeling beside her. Her eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly in the dim light. She blinked at him in confusion, then panic washed over her face. "Please," she gasped, her voice trembling. "Don't lift my skirt." David's eyebrows furrowed in confusion. The words didn't make sense to him. Why would she say that? Was she afraid of him? He leaned in closer, trying to make sense of the situation. "What's going on? Are you in trouble?" His concern was genuine, but there was also something about this situation that made him uneasy. Who was she? Why was she here, alone, in this abandoned place? The alien girl, still trembling, slowly raised a hand to her face. "Please," she whispered again, her voice barely audible. "You don't know what you're doing." David was torn. Something about her felt different from any human he had met. She wasn't just a stranger, she was something more, something otherworldly. And yet, there was a part of him that couldn't look away from her. Her eyes, so intense, so filled with both fear and a strange kind of authority, seemed to pull him in. As he sat there, unsure of what to do next, David's gaze wandered. The warehouse around him was oddly quiet, but something felt off. A distant hum seemed to vibrate in the air, barely noticeable but present. The tension between them grew thick, and the alien girl's warning seemed to echo in his mind. What was so important about her skirt? Why did she beg him not to touch it? David stood up slowly, his instincts telling him to be cautious. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said, trying to reassure her. But there was something inside him, something dark and dangerous that was starting to stir. What was this mysterious feeling? Why couldn't he shake the urge to know more about her, to understand who or what she was? The girl's gaze never left him, and for a moment, David thought he saw something flicker in her eyes, something dangerous, something ancient. But before he could react, her voice broke the silence again. "Please, you don't understand. I beg you." David's curiosity was overwhelming, but his fear was growing. What had he stumbled upon in this forsaken place? And why did this alien girl's warning feel so important? The mystery deepened with every passing second. The only thing David knew for sure was that his life was about to change in ways he couldn't yet understand. David hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to do next. The alien girl's pleading eyes seemed to pierce through him, but his curiosity grew stronger with each passing second. The room was heavy with silence, save for the faint hum that seemed to vibrate through the very walls. Something about her presence felt almost magnetic, and despite her warning, he found it increasingly difficult to ignore the sense that there was more to this encounter. Then met the eyes slowly. David crouched down beside her, trying to make out any sign of injury or distress. But as he looked closer, he saw something that sent a chill through his spine. Her outfit was different, unlike anything he had ever seen. The fabric shimmered in the dim light, as if it was alive. There were no seams, no buttons, and it seemed to pulse with an energy that was foreign to him. Was she from another world? The thought seemed impossible, yet the evidence in front of him was undeniable. "Please," she whispered again, her voice trembling. "You don't understand. I'm not like you." David could feel the weight of her words pressing on him, but his mind raced with questions. "What do you mean? What are you?" He could barely keep his voice steady as the strange mix of fear and fascination filled him. His hands trembled, but he couldn't pull away. He had to know more. She swallowed hard, her face pale with both fear and something else, something darker, more urgent. If you lift my skirt, it will destroy everything. It will wake something I can't control. Her voice quivered, but her eyes burned with intensity. You have to trust me. David felt the pulse of tension in the air, as though the very fabric of reality itself was holding its breath. He knew he should step back, walk away, and leave this place behind, but the pull of her words, her presence, was overwhelming. There was an undeniable connection between them, a bond that seemed to draw him closer. No matter how much he tried to resist, against his better judgment, David's hand moved on its own. He didn't want to, but the curiosity inside him, almost like a compulsion, was too strong. He needed to understand. What was so dangerous about the simple act she had warned him against? Why was it so critical that he didn't cross that line? Without thinking, he reached out and lifted the edge of her skirt. The moment his fingers brushed the fabric, the room seemed to shudder. A low, eerie hum grew louder, vibrating the walls as if the very air around them had changed. The alien girl gasped, her body tensing, and her eyes widened in a mix of horror and disbelief. David recoiled, his heart pounding in his chest. What had he done? Before he could react further, the alien girl's form seemed to blur. Her skin flickered with light, a bright, unnatural glow flashing beneath her. The strange hum from before intensified, filling his ears with a high-pitched frequency that made his head ache. He took a step back, his hands shaking as the ground beneath him began to tremble. The warehouse around them felt alive, as though the very structure was reacting to the disturbance. The girl's face twisted in pain, and she let out a cry that sent a jolt of fear down David's spine. "What have you done?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. But there was something in her eyes, a strange, unearthly power that left him paralyzed. Unable to look away, David's mind raced, but his body felt frozen. He had crossed a line, one he couldn't come back from. The tension between them was now thicker than ever, and he realized, with dawning horror, that the alien girl's warning wasn't just a plea for mercy. It was a warning for his life and possibly the fate of something far greater than him. In the stillness that followed, David could only stare at the alien girl, feeling the weight of his mistake pressing down on him. There was no going back now. He had unlocked something powerful, and he had no idea how to control it. The room was alive with energy. David could feel it in the air, thick and pulsing, as if the very space around him had changed. His breath came in shallow gasps, and his heart pounded so hard he thought it might burst from his chest. The alien girl's transformation was nothing short of terrifying. Her body shimmered, her skin flickering between shades of deep blue and silver, as if the light itself was bending around her. She rose to her feet, her movements swift and unnatural, like a predator preparing to strike. David took a step back, but he couldn't tear his eyes away. Her presence was overpowering, drawing him in despite the danger she represented. The air around them crackled, charged with an energy that seemed to come from within her, radiating out in waves. He could feel it against his skin, a tingling sensation that made his hairs stand on end. "You shouldn't have done that." The alien girl's voice was low, but it carried a weight that made David freeze in place. It was not just fear in her eyes now. It was something deeper, something ancient, something she had been holding back. She took a step toward him, and the ground beneath her feet seemed to hum in response, as if the very earth recognized her power. David opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He felt small, insignificant in her presence, like a leaf caught in a violent storm. What are you?" he finally managed to whisper, his voice shaking. His mind raced, trying to make sense of the impossible reality unfolding in front of him. This wasn't just an alien encounter, this was something far greater, far more dangerous. The girl's eyes flashed with a fierce intensity, and for a moment, David thought she might lash out at him. But instead, she stopped, her gaze softening ever so slightly. "I'm not just an alien," she said, her voice now tinged with sorrow. "I'm a being of energy. My people were once able to control the forces that bind the universe together. But that power, it's been lost." David felt a wave of confusion crash over him. "What do you mean? Why did you beg me not to touch it?" What's the skirt? What's so important about that? His voice was desperate now, the pieces of the puzzle slipping just out of reach. He needed answers, needed to understand what was happening. The girl's expression hardened, and for a moment, she seemed to retreat into herself. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, as if gathering her thoughts, before looking at him again. The skirt was never just clothing. It's a seal, a boundary that keeps my true form locked away. Her voice wavered as she spoke, as though the weight of her own words was crushing her. When you lifted it, you broke the seal. Now, I can't stop what's coming. David's mind spun as the implications of her words began to sink in. What's coming? What have I done? The air in the room thickened, and the temperature seemed to drop. The alien girl's body began to glow brighter, the energy surrounding her now unmistakable. It was as if she were becoming something else, something larger than life, something that stretched beyond the limits of the physical world. David could see it now, in her eyes, in the way her form flickered. She wasn't just alien. She was a force of nature, an ancient power that had been lying dormant for far too long. "There's no going back," she said, her voice growing faint, almost as if she were fading. "The energy has been released, and with it, the balance is shifting. What happens next will change everything." David stepped forward, his mind racing, but his body felt heavy. He was in over his head, and there was no escaping the consequences of his actions. The alien girl was no longer just a strange being he had stumbled upon. She was something far more dangerous, and now he had to face whatever chaos he had unleashed. The warehouse, once silent, now seemed to vibrate with an unseen force. The hum in the air grew louder, almost deafening, and the walls around them seemed to bend. The alien girl's form continued to glow, the energy pulsing faster, growing stronger with each passing second. David had no choice but to watch as the events he had set in motion unfolded, knowing that his life and perhaps the fate of the world was now forever tied to the alien girl, and the power she wielded. There was no turning back now. David could barely breathe. The intensity of the moment was crushing, and every part of his being screamed for him to run, but his legs felt frozen to the floor, as if the very weight of the alien girl's presence had anchored him there. The hum in the room was deafening now, vibrating through his chest, each pulse a reminder of the disaster he had set into motion. He couldn't look away, even as the alien girl's form continued to flicker and distort before his eyes. She was changing. It wasn't just her skin anymore, something deeper, something far more dangerous was awakening. Her body rippled with an energy that defied logic, shifting between solid and ethereal, as if her very existence was being rewritten in real time. The air around her crackled with power, and David could feel it, like an electric charge that coursed through his veins. Every instinct in his body told him to run, but he was paralyzed. "You have no idea what you've done." The alien girl's voice broke through the chaos, her tone colder now, more distant. Her eyes glowed fiercely, the brightness blinding, and for a moment, David thought he saw something in them, something ancient, something as old as the universe itself. "I warned you, I begged you, but you didn't listen." David opened his mouth, desperate to explain himself, to apologize, but the words stuck in his throat. What could he say? What did he even know about what was happening? All he had wanted was to understand, to uncover the truth about this mysterious being. But now, it felt like he had opened a door that should have remained sealed forever. "I didn't mean to," he stammered, but she interrupted him, her voice like thunder. "You didn't mean to, but you did," she hissed, her hands lifting as if to show the vast energy building around her. "You've unleashed something beyond your comprehension. My people once controlled the power of the stars, the very fabric of the universe itself. And now that power is mine to wield again. But you have no idea what it costs." David took a step back, his heart racing. The girl wasn't just a strange alien from another world, she was a being of unimaginable power, something that should have never been disturbed. And now, he had done just that. "The skirt was a seal," she continued, her voice now almost haunting. "A barrier between the past and the present. When you lifted it, you released the energy trapped within me. And that energy, it has a mind of its own. It will break free, and there's no stopping it now." David's mind spun. What do you mean? What will happen? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she closed her eyes, her face twisting in a mixture of pain and sorrow. The universe is about balance. Light and dark, life and death. My people once kept that balance, but we were hunted, destroyed by those who feared our power. I was the last of my kind who could control it. Now, I am no longer just a prisoner. I am the key to a force that can reshape everything. But it is unstable. David's breath caught in his throat. The implications were overwhelming. He hadn't just discovered an alien being, he had awakened a force that could destroy the world, as he knew it, and he had no idea how to stop it. "Please," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "I didn't mean to stop." She cut him off, her voice rising, filled with both rage and desperation. "You didn't mean to, but you did, and now, you have to understand the consequences. This isn't just about me, it's about everything. If I can't control this power, if I can't contain it, then the world will burn." David felt a wave of dread wash over him. The alien girl wasn't just a victim in this story. She was part of something far bigger, something far darker, and now, he had become part of it too. The room around them seemed to twist and distort, the walls warping, bending, as if the very reality itself was being torn apart. David stumbled backward, his mind racing. There was no way out of this. Not anymore. He had unleashed a force he didn't understand, and now, he was trapped in the center of it. The alien girl's eyes locked with his, and for a brief moment, he saw something flicker there, something that wasn't anger or fear, but something softer, almost human. "You didn't mean to," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "but you still have a choice to help me, or let everything fall apart." David looked around at the chaos growing around them, his mind racing for a solution. There was no going back, no way to undo what had been done. The question now was whether he could find a way to fix it or if it was already too late. David's heart was hammering in his chest as the energy in the room continued to build, each pulse stronger than the last. The alien girl's transformation had taken on a life of its own, and now, the very air around them felt charged, heavy with the weight of a power that David couldn't begin to comprehend. The walls around them shook, the ground beneath his feet trembled, and the distant hum in the atmosphere was no longer just a sound, it was a force, pushing against him, wrapping around him like a tight grip. He couldn't think. His mind was clouded with fear, guilt, and confusion. The alien girl's words echoed in his head, each one a reminder of the mistake he had made. He had unleashed something ancient, something dangerous, and now, he was responsible for whatever came next. "Help me, David," the alien girl said, her voice trembling but filled with desperation. She was still glowing, her body rippling with an energy that threatened to tear the room apart. "I can't do this alone. I don't have control over this power anymore." David shook his head, struggling to keep his thoughts clear. I don't know how," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the deafening hum. "I don't know what to do." The alien girl's eyes locked onto his, and for a fleeting moment, the intensity in them softened. "You do. You just have to trust me. Trust her." How could he trust her? He had already made one mistake. His curiosity had led him to lift the seal, and now, he was trapped in a situation he didn't understand. There was no going back, but looking into her eyes that held a depth of ancient knowledge and pain, David felt a flicker of something deep inside him, a spark of understanding. Maybe she wasn't the only one who had lost control. Maybe he had, too. The ground beneath their feet quaked violently and a crack appeared in the wall, as if the very fabric of reality was splitting open. The alien girl stepped closer to David, her hands shaking. "I need your help to restore the balance," she said, her voice strained. "Without it, everything will collapse. The universe, the laws of nature, they will break." David didn't know what she meant by the balance, but he understood one thing. This wasn't just about saving himself anymore. If he didn't act, everything around him, the world, the people, the future, could be torn apart. The alien girl was no longer just a stranger, a mysterious being he had encountered by accident. She was a force of nature, and now her fate was intertwined with his own. "You have to trust me," she repeated, her voice growing stronger, more determined. "Together, we can stop this." We can fix what you've started." David took a deep breath. His mind raced, but in that moment, he realized he had no choice but to act. He couldn't undo the damage he had done, but he could try to help her control it. The alien girl's power was too strong for her to contain alone, and if they didn't stop it, there would be no world left to save. He stepped forward, his heart pounding in his chest, his hands trembling with both fear and resolve. "Okay," he said, his voice barely more than a whisper. "I'll help you." The alien girl's eyes widened in surprise, and for a brief moment, her form flickered, the energy around her shifting in a way that was almost imperceptible. You'll help me?" she asked, her voice soft with disbelief. "But why? After everything?" David looked at her, feeling the weight of his decision settle over him. "Because I don't want to live in a world that's falling apart. I don't want to live with the consequences of my actions." Her gaze softened, and for the first time, she seemed to relax, as though a burden had been lifted from her shoulders. She nodded slowly. "Then we must act quickly," she said, her voice steady now. "The power is building, and if we don't stop it soon, it will consume everything. We must restore the seal before it's too late." David nodded, feeling the gravity of her words. He wasn't sure how they would do it, or if it was even possible. But one thing was certain, this was no longer just about him. It was about saving everything he had known. The future of the world, and perhaps even the universe itself, rested in their hands now. The alien girl extended her hand toward him, the energy swirling around her fingertips. "Together," she whispered, and as David reached out to take her hand, he felt a surge of power, raw, unfiltered energy that coursed through him like nothing he had ever experienced before. It was time to stop what had been set in motion. The moment their hands met, an overwhelming surge of energy coursed through David's body, hotter than fire and colder than ice all at once. He gasped, his body trembling, as he felt the raw power of the alien girl flow through him. It was like being struck by lightning, yet more intense, more personal. His heart raced, his mind spinning, as if he were caught in a maelstrom, trying to make sense of everything that had happened. The alien girl's touch was like a lifeline, but it also felt like a chain binding him to something far greater than himself. The room around them blurred, reality warping, as if the very fabric of the world was being torn apart. The hum in the air grew deafening, and for a moment, David thought he might lose himself to it, swallowed by the energy that threatened to consume him. "Focus." The alien girl's voice broke through the chaos, calm but insistent. "You have to hold it together. If we let go now, it will destroy everything. You need to trust me, David. Let the energy flow through you, but don't let it control you." David's chest tightened as he struggled to maintain control. The power surged through him again, and he felt his muscles lock with the strain. He could feel his body burning from the inside out, but he didn't dare pull away. The alien girl's presence anchored him, her hand steady on his, guiding him as if she had been through this before. But this wasn't just her power, it was his now, too. He could feel it, deep in his bones. The energy wasn't just something outside of him. It was part of him, part of everything. He could sense the connections between things, between life and death, light and darkness, the stars and the earth. It was all connected, all one. "Good," she whispered, her voice a breath of relief. "You're doing it. Keep it steady, don't let the energy overwhelm you." David gritted his teeth, fighting against the pull of the power that threatened to tear him apart. He could feel the alien girl's strength in him, but he also felt the weight of her fear. She was scared, but she was also desperate. She knew what was at stake, and now, so did he. As the energy built, David's vision blurred, the world spinning around him. He could see flashes of images, visions of what could be, what might happen if they failed. Destruction, chaos, a world torn apart by forces beyond their control. The alien girl's grip tightened on his hand, and he felt her strength solidifying in him, helping him to anchor the growing power. "Focus, David," she said again, this time more firmly. "You have to trust yourself. You're not just helping me. You're helping us both. We can do this, together." The air around them hummed louder, and David could feel the seal, the barrier between worlds, begin to solidify. The room, once trembling with chaos, began to stabilize. Slowly, the glow around the alien girl started to dim, and the energy in the room started to recede. But it wasn't over yet. They had only begun to restore the balance. The power was still there, surging just beneath the surface, waiting for them to finish what they had started. David's heart raced as he realized the true magnitude of their task. This wasn't just about stopping a force of destruction, it was about restoring an ancient balance, one that had been lost for far too long. The alien girl had been right. They were linked now, connected in a way that neither of them fully understood. And as long as they held onto that connection, they had a chance of fixing everything. With every ounce of strength he had left, David pushed the power back, willing the seal to hold, knowing that the next moments would determine everything. David's mind was a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions as the final surge of energy pulsed through him. His body was shaking, his muscles on fire, but the alien girl's hand, now steady and confident, remained firmly in his, grounding him. The hum in the room had shifted, no longer a deafening roar, but a steady vibration. Like the earth itself was breathing in sync with them. The power was still there, raw and untamed, but it was no longer threatening to consume everything. They were bringing it back under control, slowly, painfully, but surely. Almost there, the alien girl whispered, her voice calm but strained, the weight of their shared task evident in the way her chest rose and fell with each breath. "We just need to finish it, David." He nodded, his own breath ragged as he tried to focus. The energy was still swirling within him, a force that seemed both foreign and familiar at the same time. He could feel it coursing through his veins, tingling in every fiber of his being. But there was something else now, a quiet understanding, a connection between them that went beyond words. For the first time since they'd met, he wasn't just helping her. He was helping himself too. The alien girl wasn't just an outsider, an unknown force. She was a part of something much bigger, something that had been hidden for so long. And now, together, they were bringing balance back to the world. David could sense it, the threads of reality knitting themselves together, the chaos beginning to subside. But there was no time to relax. The energy still raged beneath the surface, and the seal wasn't fully restored yet. David's mind snapped back into focus as he realized just how fragile this moment was. If they didn't finish what they had started, everything they had worked for would unravel. The power would break free once more, and the consequences would be catastrophic. "I'm with you," he said, his voice rough but resolute. "Let's finish this." The alien girl looked at him, her glowing eyes softening. The fierce intensity that had marked their earlier struggle now, tempered by something else, gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, her words carrying more weight than he could have imagined. "Without you, I would have never been able to do this." David could feel the energy swelling again. But this time, it was different. They weren't fighting against it. They were guiding it. Together, they pushed the power back, channeling it, directing it into the seal they were restoring. The room around them seemed to shift, the walls bending and warping before slowly returning to normal. The hum in the air faded to a soft, gentle vibration, as though the world itself was sighing in relief. The alien girl's form flickered, her energy stabilizing, and for the first time since they had met, she seemed at peace. She let go of his hand and stepped back, her eyes still glowing, but no longer with the same raw intensity. "It's done," she said quietly, almost to herself. David looked around the warehouse, his breath coming in uneven gasps. The energy was gone. The chaos had ended, and the world was, at least for now, safe. But he knew this wasn't the end. The bond between him and the alien girl had been forged. In the fire of this battle, and whatever came next, they would face it together. The universe was vast, and the forces they had touched were far more complicated than he could ever understand. But as he looked at the alien girl, standing now with quiet strength and calm, he knew one thing for certain: they weren't alone anymore. And for the first time in a long time, David felt a strange sense of hope. Whatever the future held, they had just proven that together they could survive anything.